ghostly mark. Cobwebs twine and shadows dance in this twilight somber trance. Candles flicker, weary wicks, ancient echoes, time's cruel tricks, marble figures, frozen pose, amidst the silent sorrow grows. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room. Chandeliers in crystal tears reflect forgotten yesteryears, softly chanting distant cries. Through the arches sorrow sighs. Gargoyles watch with stony gaze, guardians of endless maze. Pipe organ's breath begins to rise, filling air with mournful ties. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Lady Red, I exist. I am still wearing dark pantaloons, etc., etc. Also, Lictor's back. Say hi, Lictor.
Hello, hi Lictor.
Good
I'm
job.
also here.
Hi,
I'm
chat.
still talking about the part where we made Alucard the forklift.
Alucard the forklift is
an
an amazing character invention, especially as nobody intended it until the very moment it happened. Lictor is here and very audible. Is he too audible, or is he correct audible and we're just happy about it?
It is my deep bearded voice. I think we use the fact that we used guitar parts to awaken that forklift.
We do use guitar parts to awaken a forklift. The reason we're having this conversation as we enter stream is because Orcslayers mentioned Skitarii coming to Darktide soon. And on Saturdays, I play in a 40k game run by Lictor, and it's very good and very stupid. Okay, Lictor is 0.52 audible. I can fix that. This should fix the problem. There we go. Could you turn my mic up a bit? I can certainly try. Is that any better? I will hope so.
The color of Lictor's voice is balanced with Lady's red.
Night Owl is saying much betterer, so hopefully we are all good. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Can't wait to hear game beats for your Warhammer campaign. Okay, so, I mean, we can tell you some now, but the risk is that there will be no Shoal, there will be only war.
I will point out, if you really want all the deets, Lady Ed has been keeping a journal.
I do.
It is over 30k words by now.
Yes. Yes, my character is keeping a journal because she is having possibly the most ridiculous adventure of our entire party. everyone's having a ridiculous adventure. It's just, I think, possibly my character's is the weirdest. But we have been recording our sessions, and I don't think those sessions are going to get released as what they are, but they are going to get used, I think, for a project I have been postulating to Lictor for next year.
I will say, I have to put my finger on it. Bruton and Mordecai are presumably even stupider.
Yes, but Mordecai hasn't realized that's happening yet.
That is true. Okay. Okay, so the problem is Mordecai has sheet perception, and thus he has not yet noticed the courting of a crude shaper after his very friendly human, in which a quote carnivore brings the human voidsman pieces of enemies, as much in the same way a cat brings an owner tribute every once in a while to show their affection.
All right, so I think what we're going to do, I'm going to wind it back and just explain this, because I'm sure there are people in chat who don't know what's going on. And, you know, I would like you guys to know what's going on, because then this becomes even funnier. So, Lictor wanted to run a Rogue Trader game, and I was all about this because love me some Rogue Trader and love me some GMs who are willing to run a setting in the fun way rather than feeling beholden to whatever bullshit GW has currently done to the lore. So we sat down to start generating the Rogue Trader game, and ladies and gentlemen, if Lictor ever invites you to a game, please go. You will have just the best time. We not only created our own characters, which I think all of us in the end rando rolled of the original party to just see what we were doing. And so when it comes to 40k, all the games I've played in 40k previously, I've deliberately decided to play an assassin. I've mostly played in Dark Heresy, and I would set out to play an assassin. This time round, I was like, I will see what the dice tell me I'm playing. I'm playing an assassin. Oh, it's good to see you, Ed. Take it steady. Go on, Lictor.
Peter Mo, Peter Mickery. All I'm saying, you were the one to steal an elf. That wasn't my fault.
Yeah, so my roles came out as I was basically going to be playing an assassin. And originally it was going to be, you know, Squick was looking to do a combat character. I was looking to do a more intelligent character, but we would see what happened. Squick ended up playing a tech priest. And I ended up playing a assassin. It's just what the dice decided, and I'm really glad we did it that way, because I think that led us to some of the decisions that we came to. As and when we get things in a position where we can start giving you guys stuff, I have a feeling everyone is going to immediately fall in love with Reject Echo, Squick's character.
He's got two gold stars, and he
earned
both of them.
He did a lot of hard work for those gold stars from Photocopy Mummy.
Yes, of course.
So
who else?
We drew up our characters. I did the thing I always do with my characters is, you know, I sort of go with what seems sensible based on what I've got, and I let their sort of voice work itself out as we start playing, but I always give my characters like a quirk or a hobby or a something that is like a first step to start building this character. So when we were rolling up Sidewinder, what I had in mind was that she needed a hobby or a quirk or something she was interested in. And wouldn't you know it, this is happening after I've now become a fan of wrestling, thanks to a certain Halzakar of the Black Pants Legion, which is something I was never into until I joined the Legion and got to see everything. And I now have just such a great appreciation for good wrestling. So I was like, you know what? She enjoys wrestling. And we decided that we were going to mess around with the concept of like 90s videotape match trading. She likes Eldar wrestling, Eldar fights, illegal tapes of Eldar fights. And so does the captain of the ship. And they have Friday night fights where like the chosen of the crew who aren't going to throw a shit fit over watching Xenos fight. This is what they do on a Friday night and have popcorn. And thus, you know, I had all of the foundation I needed to start making my character an individual person when we started playing. So that was my character. We also designed elements of the ship with Lictor and talked about the different factions, and the captain is just fantastic. He has a moustache the size of a planet, and it is always decked out in gems, and it is magnificent. And he has a very ridiculous name. If I go and find it, I can read it.
And that was Aiden's fault.
It was Aiden's fault. We did start out that he needed to have a ridiculous name, but then it got even more ridiculous. Let me find... Boop, here. Okay, so the captain's full name is Gregorio Lucian Demetrius Petronikov von Klappenheimer, of the Klappenheimer dynasty, and our ship is the Pride of Klappenheim. Ed, by all means, please steal that tip and use it as poorly as you possibly can. Always give your character a hobby, and if you can, make it something that completely does not match their stat line. It does wonders for developing characters. If I hadn't gone with wrestling for Sidewinder, I probably would have gone with knitting. But wrestling was on my mind at the time.
That's okay. Someone else does the knitting, even if he does so one-handed.
Yes. So, we have my character with her ridiculousness, we have our ridiculous captain, we have our ship that smells faintly of cinnamon, and, you know, we've sort of got everything in place to begin our storyline, investing in travelling around the Valar Reach, trying to make a profit, and it's been, you know, a fun time. I'm not going to go into all the elements of what we did, but, you know, we've been having a great time. We set out to have like a little bit of a wacky adventure. I think we were intending originally to be about 15% wacky, and we're now at about 115% wacky, just by happenstance. And it's been very fun. And without anyone directly meaning to, the entire ship has become a convoluted set of different romance plots.
It's not just romance. There's also professional interest.
Yes, which is definitely what I'm involved in. It's only professional interest.
You are the YA plot.
It's true. It's true.
You're literally the YA plot. It's
Lord Troa is at 460 streams. Sir! So why? Troa!
They are men of they are a gentleman of discerning taste and keen interest to the final things in the quartermaster's room.
Yeah, so things that happened on the ship. We decided that we have a duplicatum on board with Paperwork Mummy, also known as Photocopier Mummy, who is the tech priest, like head Magos of all of this nonsense. She does all of the paperwork, and she is fused to the giant photocopier machine and has become basically Squick's love interest, and they're kind of having a Spanish drama about it. He went from being Reject Echo to V2 Roommate Echo, and asked the very sensible question of what happened to V1, and I think we may have just found out in this last week, and his poor little steel heart may be broken. We will have to see. We have my nonsense going on because, yes, my character's massively into Eldar wrestling. Congratulations, the first planet you're on, there's an Eldar pit fighter here. So, of course, we stole him, and my character has been learning from him ever since. But her interest is totally professional. She absolutely does not have a thing for the extremely broadly muscled, one-armed elf man living in her quarters. I know you're not the high stream streak, but that's still many streams. Good lord. And Orc Slayers is at 438. Good lord.
Yes. By Zorg. Many flanks.
What else do we have going on? Oh, our Catachan administrator, who does paperwork and has recently found out that she's really good at burning things and why. She's been asked out on her first date with the Magus biologist on the ship. And part of tomorrow's session will probably involve figuring out where she's going to get something appropriate to wear. Go on.
On the ship.
Yes, on the ship.
Or possibly in the night market.
Yeah, we could go. I mean, we're going to need to go into the night market, and I need to find some decent embroidery thread for the elf man living in my quarters
Yes.
that I'm only interested in a professional sense. This is perfectly fine.
Yes, of course.
We have our Catachan Psyker, who expels warp charges by performing the holy burpee and sometimes bench presses the entire ship gym with his brain. And he's kind of in a relationship with a broken foresword we found that is very angry, and he tried to make it feel better by sanctifying it in barbecue sauce, which, you know, he seems happy with that, so that's good. We don't have any Kriegers at the moment. Will that change? I don't know, but we will see. Then we've got the really weird one that's starting up, and I'm hoping Parallax is busy and not here. His character joined us rather later. He is playing Mordecai McVoidsman of the New Hampshire Voidsmans, and surprise, he's a Voidsman, and has made the acquaintance of the Kroot we have on board. And Crouton, the female Kroot shaper, has taken an interest in him. However, he is basically Doom Guy and turns up to kill orcs, and Argent Metal starts up, and then he just kind of seethes in the background about the elf man that lives in my quarters. So he hasn't yet noticed that the Kroot has an interest in him. That's going to be a thing upcoming. And then we have... Go on.
We have a table.
We do.
You know what? People can roll the D100 and see what happens with Crouton, because I have a table, an entire table of 100 things that she may have left in his room or on his uniform.
If you drop a number between 1 and 100 in chat, Lictor can tell you what item the Kroot has as an offering for the Voidsman. Orcslayer says 88.
Okay. I'll take the first 3. Okay, 69.
88, 47, and 69.
No problem. Just let me open up my stack of Blu-ray.
And then we have Aiden's character Bolt, who is completely oblivious to everything, is currently having a romance with nothing, and hasn't realised anybody else is either. It's fantastic.
Yes, he's just a priest.
Yeah, he is. His only love is the Emperor and the Golden Throne. No space for anything else.
He did grab a reverend as a best pal.
He did. His new best buddy is Reverend Revok Malthus of the Church of Impact, who believes that warheads are sacred and you must not miss a strike. That's being unfaithful, and has now come aboard to bless our macro cannons. Mad Ducks is running wire in a theatre. There is an audience, so they have to behave themselves. Oh no. Behaving yourself, do you know how? All right, do you have these shaper things?
Yes.
Go for it.
88 is a collection of orc insignia, badges, scratched glyphs, painted symbols removed from kills over several weeks, arranged chronologically on a piece of cloth. It is a trophy wall. She made it for his wall. This is 88. 47. A live grox beetle in a small container poked with air holes. In code culture, this is a friendship offering. It means I found this alive and kept it alive for you, because I thought you might like it. He might not like it, but she tried. Okay. 69. A small cairn of orc bones built in the precise center of his room, about knee height, which, in Kroot tradition, marks a place something important ended. Something important ended here, apparently. He may not know what.
Oh, he's going to have so much fun, because he's not going to know what the hell is going on at the start of every session when you're like, yeah, roll a D100. Why? Just do it.
That's okay. It's kind of like the times where you need to roll a D47 or a D13.
Yeah, you do ask us to roll some strange dice at times. It is a good time.
That's okay. They don't have to always make real dice. Uh, 13 is a blood marking on his door, visible only when the corridor light hit it just right. It's a territorial glyph. And for the last one, 3 orc teeth, sorted by size, arranged in a neat descending line on his pillow.
This is what happens when you have a Crute Shaper as an admirer. Just constant Valentine's offerings in your quarters. Psychic damage we're inflicting today. At the moment, we're just wittering about our rogue trader game. So, the thing that I think to sort of build towards and with regards to this. So, we have been recording the sessions, and what I'm thinking is next year, what I would like to do, and I'm hoping Lictor will join me in this, but it's obviously Lictor's choice. I would like to make some proper character sheets for each of the characters involved in the campaign, but as chibis. And I would like to make a comic series of the adventures, because they have just been wacky and ridiculous and would do excellently as like 3 or 4 panel individual little strips. And I think it would be pretty cool to have like a universal character sheet and then have the ability for 2 artists, because Lictor is an artist too, to draw some of these moments. And then possibly also have like excerpts from the journal my character's keeping in there as well, and any particularly funny voice clips, and just have it be sort of like, you know, here is a web page where this nonsense exists if you wish to see it.
We can do a Calvin and Hobbes style.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I suspect we'll go probably a little bit more complex than Calvin and Hobbes' art style, because I know what you and I are both like. But yeah, that in that sort of vein, and I think that would just be quite fun.
Yeah, slackworm.
So
I can't.
Go on.
And we can put the binary pieces in the background.
Yes.
Because
so this week, let me tell you about this week. So I'm possibly the most invested in this game at the minute, simply because I have the benefit of working from home, and a variety of things have happened over the last couple of weeks where I've needed some de-stress time. And I have decided that de-stress time for me involves my character stressing out about the elf man that lives in her quarters. So, you know, a whole range of ridiculous things have been happening, but we do have also some plot going on. And Lictor dropped last session a series of notes that we found about some nonsense going on the ship, specifically with regards to the Gellerfield. And if there's one thing on the ship that I absolutely do not want futzed with, it's the sodding Gellerfield. So we've got that to go and investigate. And he just dropped like we were using Roll20. So he dropped a series of notes for our characters of, you know, here is information that you found. And has then just left it for us to pick stuff out of it and sort of, you know, actually dig into all the clever work that he's done. I sat and did that last night because I had food poisoning this week. And last night was the first night that my brain felt like it was working again. Yeah, Gellerfield malfunctional, a big problem. We have a 70% complete installation of non-standard Geller nonsense instead of the standard piece that was supposed to be fitted and only take 14 days. And no! So we're going to go and investigate that tomorrow in session. But as I'm going through these files Lictor has put in front of us, there's like binary bits in there. So I bothered to go and translate them. And yeah, those are also relevant. So... playing games by Lictor, they're fantastic. There's so much stuff you could just pull out of all the nonsense he ties together. It's amazing.
There's one thing I want to point out that wasn't my fault. Quick is playing an AdMac. He asked if he was being spammed. So he got spammed. And
yeah, and all the spam was useful. Every single piece was useful. Well, okay, a couple of pieces weren't, but in general, the spam was useful.
Spam was useful, except the part about the hand torque.
Indeed, I do not need roommate Echo with greater hand torque. Thank you.
Yes. Doctor Who, Shoal, yes.
We will get to Shoal, I promise, but we've kicked off with 40k because big project next year potentially, and nonsense, and this is a writing stream, and I am very impressed with the writing and consistency Lictor brings to running a tabletop game. I think it's incredible. I can't run games the way he does. It's fantastic.
I want to read the one about the hand augmentation.
By
then
all
read
means.
one of them that is useful, and let chat decide which one is which.
Yep, sure. Please read some of the wonderful spam mail that our tech priest received last time.
From Blessed Dogmatics Primus Thrix Nodal 7. Forge undisclosed.mech. Subject: your left hand is wrong. Esteemed unit, our records indicate your left manipulator assembly is operating below optimal grip torque, all caps. For a unit of your designation in class, are you settling for 49% grip efficiency? The Omnisci is not settling. He is at 100%. He has always been at 100%. For 340 thrones, payment plan available, subject to soul bond agreement. We will install a Miraxian Primus Grip enchantment kit featuring pre-blast ratchet housing, anti-corrosion sealant, promethium-based do not ingest, and a commemorative data wafer of the right of reassembly read aloud by a certified engine seal. Do not let your grip define your limits, let your limits define your grip. Offer expires, grip does not. Miraxian Dogmatics, we know where your hands are.
Have I mentioned this is just the best game?
Let's see. Someone roll a D6.
Pick a number between 1 and 6, chat. First one gets it. 2. Orcslayer says 2.
Okay, we take number 3. From Genuine, spelled with a Y, Archaeotech no question, at driftmark.underspine.void. Subject, re. You expressed interest in ancient machine components. You did not express this interest. Hello again. Following up on your previous inquiry. Note, you made no previous inquiry. Regarding our current stock of pre-imperial machine components of undisclosed origin, redacted. Current availability. ×3 data nodes, non-startled architecture, slight luminescent in low light, hum at frequencies below hearing range, priced to move. ×1 targeting array, unknown manufacturer, locked up in recognition protocol we have not identified, occasionally warm to the touch. ×1 sealed casing, contents unknown, contents audible, contents have not repeated the same sound twice. Asking price, negotiable. BIOS collects. All items sold as is, no warranty, no questions, no returns, no visits to our premises without our prior appointments and a convincing reason. We do not ask what it is, we ask what it does. Zeth Carvel Acquisitions, Underspine, Drift Market 12. Do not tell anyone.
Carvel is also on our list of people we need to go and see this week, for plenty of reasons, one of which includes giving basically our version of Doom Guy a power fist. So, very important.
I think I'm going to put Discount Dan in loops in the background while they are in this shop.
This seems perfectly reasonable.
It's just Space Discount Dan.
So yeah, that gives you an idea of where the 40k game is at. Next year I'm hoping to con Lictor into making a little comic series with me and doing some fun stuff. Because this has been a very, very fun game, and we have slowly but surely drawn more people in as time has gone on.
Yes, no hell's going on.
Yes, we must now also steal a Hauser car. But some of the characters are fantastic, and the Church of Impact a couple of sessions ago was oh my god, that was amazing.
Has anyone in chat played Half-Life 2? Please tell me I'm not the only person who remembers the priest from Ravenholm. Please.
The Church of Impact was very much inspired by Half-Life 2. We even had headcrab zombies wandering around. It's just they were mechanical, and it was awful. We shot a lot of people, and Sidewinder did very normal combat things, ask no questions.
Yes, they do not go to Ravenhall. Ravenhall was attacked by headcrabs and orcs.
Yes. We shot them.
They also had a drop cathedral there.
Yep.
Attached to a Prometheum tanker. Because
reasons.
The Church of Impact. Because the Church of Impact.
And then Parallax's character dropped through the stained glass ceiling and turned into Doomguy. It was fantastic.
Yes. How do we Parallax introduces character to the scene? I grabbed a Stormboy and flew with him into the scene.
Yes. Yes, he arrived via Stormboy through the stained glass ceiling. It was great.
All I had to say was I had him roll his dexterity. He rolled a crit success and stuck the landing. 5 stars, no note.
Yes. Everyone clapped. So, that is where 40k is at. That is what is going on there. That is what we were expecting to have happen. I'm glad Lictor's back and I'm not being left unsupervised.
Yes, Chad. I do expect notes on what unsupervised bullshittery has been happening while I was busy with my
Honestly, I was mostly good. We read some Shoal stuff. We have moved on a little bit. We've gotten to the point now where we are in the lab underneath the city, and things are beginning to happen. So we're going to, follow that up today. I was mostly reasonable and sensible, and I had a couple of shorter streams due to either illness and or other things going on. And last week I couldn't stream at all because we're having the fence put up around the property, and the workers were here last Friday pulling out the jungle at the rear of our house, and the dogs had opinions, extremely loud opinions about it.
I will just note to Drosophila that Squeak's character has been plumbing the depths of a Prometheum tanker as a plumber. It led to certain other relationship adjacent interactions with machine spirits.
Indeed.
How is the world of haunts? Asked the Lord Troll.
World of Haunts, that is going fine. I mean, how is your World of Haunts going? At the moment, I didn't manage to grab Inari1 when she was out, and I'm finding Trackblazer to be just a little bit too long for me to be getting in as many runs as I would like to, because, unfortunately, I have become a phenomenally busy person in the last 3 years. And especially within the last 6 months, where I now get to do some of the coolest work. So I've been having some good runs on Trackblazer. My team's doing better than it was doing before. I did a very good Mayano Top Gun run yesterday. But I am looking forward to Grand Life coming out and seeing if that takes just that little bit less time so I can do just a bit more. Who keeps taking on more work? I mean... This is the difficulty I have. It used to be with when I used to do like a normal sane job, like a normal sane person, saying no was pretty easy. People would be like, well, I need this paperwork doing for this. Because I used to work with children and then I worked in health and safety. And you say, well, this needs doing. I'm like, I literally do not have time to do that. I've got this report, this report, this report. You're going to have to delegate this to so-and-so, or it's going to have to wait until this point. No problem. The problem I have now is people come to me and are like, can you draw me raccoons in tool belts and this ridiculous? And I'm like, yes, because I want to draw that. So... yeah, I do keep taking on more work, but it's because the work is so cool and I want to do it, and I genuinely just wish I had more hours in the day, because most of the things that I'm asked to do are just fun and cool and creative and inventive. I do try to give people reasonable expectations on time frame. After Hetzer came out, Hetzer's been an interesting journey, because I liked working on it and I had a lot of upsides with that, and I'm very much liking working on the next one. And I have had a commission come from it that will be beginning of next year, that is potentially pretty large scale and kind of daunting, but that's very cool. At the same time, it was like, aha, my work is now in front of more eyes than it's ever been in front of, and like a percentage of them think I am AI. So that was a time as well. I promise I'm not AI. I am just capable of making the exact same fuck ups for partially the same reasons, because it is human to err.
I'm AI.
I do my best. Well, I was talking to Parallax. I've been reading the Hyperion books by Dan Simmons, and I think my answer to any time I get accused of being an AI in future is I'm just going to turn around and say, yes, you caught me. I am in fact a cybrid. That is you found out the truth. I am a cybrid.
I'm AI.
You're AI?
I mean, look at me.
Yeah, I'm skeleton robot man.
I mean, I feel attacked when people call me a clanker.
Artificial intelligence? No, this is natural dumbness. Basically that, yes. AI is trained by stealing real artists' work, so it will tend to resemble real art. Yeah, and it's one of the things with AI art is some of the mistakes that it makes, and not all of them, some of the mistakes that it makes are the same mistakes that people will make, because it's using some of the same techniques that real digital artists use. And, you know, I do make mistakes in my work. I categorically do. And I think the biggest thing I can say on that front is that when it comes to AI and people looking for hallmarks of stuff that indicates AI art, I don't necessarily have an issue with that, because in the present day, there are a lot of unethical people using AI in unethical ways. And when you feel like the world is constantly lying to you and you're looking for something with integrity, looking for those tells makes sense. What I wish people would also do, though, is if you're going to take the time to look to see if something is AI, also look to see if there are tells there that are something that an AI would never do and only a human would. And I think in my work you can find that quite clearly, because for all I do make mistakes, and I will continue to make mistakes, because I completed 2 terms of art school before my work became desirable enough, apparently, that I haven't had time to go back since. But there are mistakes and tells and line work that I do that, even though I consider line work to be my specialty and the thing I'm best at, there are elements of my line work where you will see just like a little judder in the line, or the way that the lines are grouped together, that an AI wouldn't make, because an AI puts those lines together in a different way to how a human does. Does that make sense? Look for things that AI will never do, like add hunch nuts. And that is one of the sad things, is that one of the easiest ways that you can prove you're a real artist in the modern day is to draw not safe for work art, because language models won't do that. You can con them into it sometimes, and there are a few out there that will do that, but like the big ones, if you try to make it draw something raunchy, they won't.
Most of them will. You just need to pay them correctly, but never mind that.
Well, I wouldn't know, so fair enough.
But then again, I just work here. But this is besides the point. The reality of it is people are doing the way they're doing, and it would be appreciated for people to actually take time to, you know, take care of their own interests. If you're interested and if you care about things, that's great.
Yeah.
Full hallmarks of approval. Please do make sure to actually take interest, and not just to, this is this and that. I don't like this. Okay, did you take care? Never mind. I will rent, and this will not go anywhere useful to anyone.
So we have opinions, various opinions, complicated opinions, but it's technically not what we're here for.
Yeah, no, I have opinions, and I should really be, kept.
Yeah, I know the kind of ads you're talking about, Doctor Who, and yes, I hate them as well, especially as so many of them hit the uncanny valley in a horrendous... I mean, one, they're about something that's just uncouth to start with, but then it also hits the Uncanny Valley, and it's just horrible on so many levels. And oh god,
And the why of it.
yes, yes. The internet is a fascinating place, and I'm glad we mostly
Yes.
use it for doing ridiculous Legion things and sometimes playing 40k games. And it's
Yes.
much more fun. Much more fun.
Yes.
All right. So,
How do you feel about reading? How do we feel about talking about Shoal for a bit?
I think we should talk about Shoal for a bit. That was where I was going to. I do have another topic that if we read through Shoal and we run out of time, there is another thing that I would love to have a discussion with Chad about, because it's been on my mind for literally no good reason. But we should do Shoal first. And for anybody wondering, I would like to rant at you all about Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Which I'm going to presume, I'm going to presume that the majority of chat will have no idea what the hell Garth Marenghi's Dark Place is. For those of you who do know what it is, I hope you're having a little smile. But if we get time, we will talk about that. But we should do some Shoal first. Talking about Shoal in a Shoal stream? Nonsense. Well, Orcslayer, as you might find out today, it looks like Lode knows what Dark Place is. That is fantastic. But we will do some Shoal first. Alrighty, let's take a look. Why do I have short story on here? That was last time we were here. That was one thing you missed, Lictor. I did read a short story that I wrote to chat when we were here last. That story...
The one on the beautiful land cryptid.
Yes, the empty cockpit, about the seahorse-looking Titan Ilir, who is a terrestrial-only Titan. And probably the sensible cryptid counterpart to Benny, the ridiculous cryptid.
Benny is not ridiculous. It's just misunderstood. That's why we call him a cryptid. Okay?
It's like parallax painting. We tried to stop it as long as possible. I mean, it's very easy to get me to go off on rants about writing, but I did take the notes you lot gave me last time, because where we left off last time, Lictor, we had gotten our heroes into the outer lab, where the illegal science nonsense from Sulayan was going on, and they found the data slate. But I had not yet written what was in the data slate because I wanted chat's input. And chat had some wonderful ideas of what should go in there. Some of them sensible, some of them ridiculous, and I have written that up for us to read this week.
Excellent. I would like to hear that, because I have not read it on your computer after all.
Yeah. So it would help if I clicked on the right thing. It's going to be chapter 13. And we will be picking up, because I'd only done the first half of 13. I have now finished it and begun the first half of 14. So where we'd gotten to last time, they were in there, they'd found the data slate, they handed the slate over to Echo to download and see if she could get any information off of it. And Echo said that yes, the casing held, most index systems are dead, but the storage lattice is not entirely lost. I have found the remains of a diary. And that's what we're going to pick up this time round. Data slate is a 40k-ism, but I am absolutely happy to steal the ism and throw it into our own work. Mostly because the idea of a data slate, I think, makes sense underwater, where originally things would have been carved on slates before they developed that. So I think it makes sense in their lingo.
Yeah, I mean, if it's it's written, which makes it a little bit weird because Temps coral and Temps chips exist.
But things were recorded on slates and shells with markings before the Shoal developed Temps, and then once Temps came in, okay, we now have the ability to Temps record or slot that into stuff, but we're still going to use the words shell and slate for certain things because that's what we were using beforehand.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Given the number of ideas GW borrowed, it's only fair. I mean, yeah, and it's also one of those things where it's literally a descriptive term. So.
And a good one at that.
Yes, it's ours, and we've never heard of 40k. Please ignore the entire first part of this stream.
Yes. Mine. Thank you. The British accent is completely by accident.
Load one is explaining. Yes, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place is a really funny series starring Richard. Is it pronounced Ayoade or Ayade? I can't remember. And Matt Berry. The series was made before the IT Crowd. Yeah, we'll talk about that once we get through stuff today, because I would love to explain what Dark Place is and why it is narrative genius. And I wish to make Lictor watch it at some point.
We will finish Kill la Kill first.
Thank you, Load. And yes, we will finish Kill la Kill first. We have many things to get through. All right, let me read to you guys some Shoal. If you have a drink, settle in, get cozy, get comfy. I'm going to do a Mook reading, and yeah, we'll see what you guys think. Echo's diagnostic limbs stilled around the old slate. Then she continued, her voice lowering into that measured register she used when handling things both delicate and important. The device belonged to one of the lower staff in this chamber, she said. Not the lead researcher, not administration. A field biologist or assistant to one. Their notes are fragmented and very personal. Formal records are sparse. Private records are abundant. Talia's colours brightened faintly. Abundant how? Echo paused. Jake could almost feel her sorting what was worth saying first and what merely proved the writer had once been alive in the deeply haphazard way all people insisted on being. There is a family recipe, she said. Silence. Jabra blinked. What? A stew reduction, Echo said. Fermented kelp, marrow extract, 2 forms of sliced shell fruit, and a very emphatic note that the secret is not to overheat the thickening paste because Mother will know and haunt you forever. The quartermaster let out a short bark of laughter that startled itself out of him. Even Magarel's colours flickered with reluctant disbelief. That is not what I expected to be preserved beside illegal biology research, Jake said. No, Echo agreed. There is also part of a grocery list. Dried ribbon algae, 3 skin scrapers, ink pellets, sweet fungus, if they have any that is not mould-bitten, and a reminder to stop buying treats for that useless little biter, because it has learned to fake injury for attention. Talia covered her mouth with one hand. Pet notes? Echo inclined one of her drones as if acknowledging a point in a lecture. Yes, she said. There are at least 11 entries of pet information. The animal in question appears to have chewed through 1 set of bedding, stolen preserved fish from a co-worker, and once hidden in a pressure duct specifically so it could bite the owner's fingers when retrieved. Hordaka's shroud brightened despite himself. That sounds like a good animal. It sounds like a menace, Magarel said. Those categories are not mutually exclusive, Umi murmured. Echo went on, implacable as the tide. There are also personal notes on co-workers. One colleague is described as smelling like a filter engine and his shroud is full of false confidence. Another as the only one in this cursed hole who can run a clean assay without making it everyone's problem. There is, additionally, a recurring complaint about someone called Ferrali who borrows tools and returns them clean but miscalibrated. Jake could not help it. He laughed. The room needed it. The dead city, the hidden lab, the old skeletal symbiote at Umi's feet. Everything had become so tight and cold that the sudden intrusion of somebody's grocery list and annoying co-workers felt less absurd than necessary. They were a real person, he said quietly. Yes, Echo said. That, more than any of the humour, settled the chamber. The hidden scientist had ceased to be an unknown functionary in a forbidden lab. They became someone who missed home cooking, resented their co-workers, and owned, or perhaps served, a terrible biting creature. The slate was not just evidence. It was a life. Echo let that sit for a beat before continuing. The more useful fragments, she said, concern the work. Magarel shifted at once, all sharp and focus again. The writer was assigned to local fauna, Echo said, specifically to watch for biological anomalies in the populations around Chorax and to study whether long-term exposure to the city's conditions had produced any form of quiet resistance in local animals. Resistance, Umi repeated softly. Echo's drone tilted towards him. That is the operative word in the surviving notes. The writer does not phrase it elegantly, but the intent is clear. They were monitoring whether the lingering effects of Chorax's fall had selected for populations less susceptible to quiet or to silence adjacent disruptions. Talia's colours had gone very still. "That's not an unreasonable research question," she admitted. "If Chorax kept shedding quiet effects after the fall, the local ecology might respond over generations. It sounds like beneficial research." "Which is why," Echo said, "the writer resented it." That got everyone's attention back. "What? How?" Jabra asked. "Why would anyone resent work that could benefit all of Shoal?" Echo shifted one of her limbs, perhaps because translating personal frustration out of old damaged notes required some physical outlet. "The writer signed on to work with Leviathan samples," she said. That phrase repeats. "They expected a more prestigious posting. Instead, they were assigned to counting sick fish and chasing gutter predators in a dead city where the walls still hum at you." Hordaka brightened. "Gutter predators?" "Siphon rays," Echo said. That dropped into the room with unpleasant clarity. The old hidden lab, the preserved undercity, the warning in the song, the proliferation of siphon rays. It all began to tighten into one linked circle. "The writer studied juvenile siphon rays," Echo said, "not adults. The notes specifically complain about being given the babies because the bigger minds want the Leviathan tissue and the deep samples, while we're stuck measuring what the little mouths chew when they should still be in nursery currents." Jake frowned. "Little mouths?" Echo's answer was immediate. "There are several observations indicating that juvenile siphon rays will feed on or near active quiet colonies." The room went dead still again. Even Jabra did not attempt to joke. "They eat quiet?" Jake said. "Not precisely," Echo said. "And not cleanly enough to call it control or cure. But yes, the siphon rays are unaffected by quiet and will either eat the infected or things fleeing a bloom. The writer notes repeated interactions between juvenile siphon rays and small quiet blooms, and expresses frustration at the research team above, or below, depending on where the deeper chambers lie, considered the observations interesting for our secondary purpose." "Interesting but secondary," Talia echoed, horrified. "That's science for I told someone important and they didn't care," Jake muttered. "Correct," Echo said. Magarel's colours had gone hard with concentration. "Deeper chambers," she repeated. "Plural." "Yes," Echo said. "The writer was not part of the primary work. That resentment is one of the slate's dominant themes. They complain repeatedly that they signed on for Leviathan tissue analysis and high-order quiet response work, not field muck and hatchling leeches. They refer to the larger experiments deeper in, often enough that I am confident such experiments existed." The wrong song at the back of Jake's awareness seemed to tighten in answer, like a line being drawn taut through stone. Umi's eyes narrowed. "So the science was layered," he said. "This room for local fauna, edgework, observations, triage. Something more important further below." "Yes," Echo said. "And they all knew they were not supposed to be here," Jabra said. That was not a guess. It was recognition. Echo's nearest drone turned slightly towards her. "The writer does not state it directly in any surviving formal language," she said. "However, there are several suggestive fragments. They refer to the whole operation as off-book more than once. There is one damaged entry complaining that if compliance ever saw the shipping chain on this nonsense, they'll feed us to the trustees. Another says, no names in the upper traffic, no live pings to open water, no Sulean tags on anything that goes missing." Magarel said nothing. Her silence had changed shape. It was no longer mere confusion. It had become the flat, stunned stillness of someone watching their own assumptions about a whole institution begin to bend. Echo continued in the same even tone which somehow made the content worse. "There is an entry, highly degraded, that appears to mention volunteers who liked their grants too much to ask whose authority this truly is. Another mentions those of us who know better pretending not to. and there is a repeated distinction between the official work I left behind and the real work below. Jake rubbed one gauntleted hand against his helmet chin without meaning to. So they knew, he said. Not just that it was secret, that it was wrong. At minimum, Umi said, they knew it could not survive proper scrutiny. Talia's colours had dimmed into a shade close to shame, though none of this was hers. This isn't how Sulayan would do things now. Umi gave her a quiet look. No. She flinched anyway. The room pressed inward around the revelation. The old chamber, with its hidden biology benches and dead Phison-linked symbiote, was no longer just evidence of some forgotten scientific excursion. It was evidence of conspiracy. Of people who had knowingly accepted an off-book posting under a dead city, set up a lab in a buried shelter, and turned their work into something secret enough to leave no clean trace in the world above. Jake thought of the family recipe again. Of the pet notes, of the grocery list. All of that human, or rather Shoal-y, mess persisted beside the conspiracy and made it worse. These had not been melodramatic villains in shadowed cloaks. They'd been ordinary scientists and technicians with annoying co-workers and favourite food and gossip and bad judgment. Which meant the deeper work, whatever it was, had probably been something they thought important enough to bypass official protocols. Jabra folded both claws slowly over one another. If this room handled the edge work, she said, then the deeper rooms handled the parts they really cared about. No one disagreed. Echo adjusted the slate in its cradle. For a moment, Jake thought she was done, that the diary had given them as much as it could for now. Then she spoke again. There is also fan fiction. The silence broke so hard it almost became laughter. I'm sorry, Jake said. There's what? Fan fiction, Echo repeated with grave patience. Specifically, several unfinished pieces attributed only by file name. 007 appears to be espionage fiction based on one of the earlier Slate books, rather than the later dramatised films. All coded meetings, dead drops in pressure locks, stolen shell ledgers, and a suspiciously competent operative who survives on charm, bad judgment, and formal wear entirely unsuited to underwater work. Hungry Like a Shark is less coherent, but seems to involve an Archaea dual champion, a health and safety regulator, and a vividly characterised striped kelp plant that is written as if it were a sentient adjudicator, despite apparently being only a plant. Hodaka made a sound so startled it turned into a cough. Jabra stared at the slate as though it had offended her personally. In the middle of all this. In the middle of all this, Echo confirmed. The quartermaster shook his head slowly, the universal gesture of someone disappointed and delighted by strangers from the past. Well, they were definitely scientists. Jake laughed then, because the alternative was to sit under the accumulating weight of everything Echo had just revealed and let it grind him down. The laugh caught on nerves and came out sharper than he intended, but it was real. The room breathed a little easier for a second. Then Magarel said, very quietly, If this truly predates modern Sulayan protocols by more than the silt first suggests... Everyone looked at her. She did not finish the thought immediately. Her gaze remained on the old slate in Echo's cradle, on the dead Susella beside it, on the biology benches and the hidden chamber and all the evidence of work done in secrecy and then abandoned to years. Umi finished for her. Then what we are seeing may not be a violation of the culture Sulayan became, he said. It may be part of the reason Sulayan became it. Magarel's colours shifted once. Not agreement exactly, but acceptance that the thought had now entered the room and would not leave. It landed harder than the conspiracy itself. Because it reframed the lab not merely as an anomaly, not merely as a sin hidden beneath a dead city, but as a fossil from the era before Shoal learned to police itself properly. Before the split war of Shoals, lessons had fully hardened into law. Before Sulayan became the place everyone trusted to say no when science wanted to say yes. Jake looked around the chamber again and saw it differently. Not modern equipment hidden cleverly. Transitional equipment. Sophisticated enough to be recognisable, old enough to belong to a less regulated world. The silt at the feet of the machines had stopped being a comforting proof of age and become a trap in his mind. A decade in still water may be far longer than anyone wanted. "We press on," Jabra said at last. It was not a question. Magarel closed her eyes for a length of one breath and opened them again. "Yes," she said. "But now we know what sort of people may have gone below." Jake felt the old preserved song of Chorax at the edge of hearing, and beneath it that live warning pulse Sivan had been first to name. Whatever had gone deeper in the Undercity had been secret even to its own participants. Hidden beneath disaster. Shielded by the reputation of a city that, in the modern day, would rather drown its own experiments than let them become monstrous. And somewhere below them, the remains of that work still sang. And that is the end of Chapter 13. I do have some Chapter 14 though, but I figure I'll see what you guys are saying first. Let me scroll up a little. Oh, there have been pets from Delta T. The puppers are currently out of the park, but when they come back, they will get all of the pettings. OK Mo wants one of something. I'm not sure what, and I'm kind of terrified what that was in reference to. I'm going to guess it was the pet from the pet notes. Erica says, the sea cat. Yes.
I'm very glad that the ficus
yes. Sebastian the
receiving his
ficus has
comeuppance.
made his way into this as well.
is receiving their comeuppance.
Doctor Who says, the Echo has downloaded and categorised and analysed the entire slate already and is essentially just providing flip notes. She is a good analyst, Titan. I like this. Yeah, I figure she has the ability to do that. She's supposed to be like really good at this sort of stuff, and it's a fragmented journal, so it's not like she's got to go through a bajillion things, only what is currently still preserved there. The whiplash, the emotional whiplash. Yeah, I do like a little bit of whiplash in my stories. A little bit of not always playing into expectation. And you guys had great ideas last week. You wanted the fan fiction in there. The fan fiction is in there.
Yeah, Chad, it's your fault. Like literally, like in literature, in verbatim, it is your fault.
Absolutely chat's fault. All right, I am very happy to read you guys chapter 14, but I'm going to hop up for just a moment, use the restroom, give you guys a chance to let me know anything else you want to tell me about how you feel about that chapter, and then we'll do some more, and we'll figure things out from there. Be right back. Lictor, don't blow anything up.
I can't promise. Why is she... but maybe I wanna. Maybe. Just as a treat. Just destroying things. Just exploding and, sending things up in the air. In a friendly gesture of, hello, boom. It is your fault, Wilf. Specifically, you're a part of chat and thus liable for at least 0.3 liable to the bullshitium that is happening. This is what I have to say about that. Yes, I will blame people. Kaboom is great. This is because Kowalski knows best. Because, indeed, Kowalski, we do need to go kaboom. Which is perhaps one of my favorite voice lines ever in all of animation. Yes, Orc Slayers. Kaboom. Yes.
I thought I said no kaboom.
Red, cease for a second. I know what you said. Did you consider for a second whom you said it to? It's like,
always kaboom.
not always. In a measured, practiced yields, the Emperor does not
I
allow
was
you
about to
waste
say, is
a
it
mist.
precise? But you're right. Measured yields is better. We should be referencing the Church of Impact.
Faith is measured in overpressure. The Emperor forgives forgives a missed shell. It does not forgive a second.
Oh, now Night
Proceed.
Owl is telling chat to behave because he has to step out.
Yes, chat must remain unexploded for
Quick,
the
post
current
ponies, mods are asleep.
time. I will pull up the catechisms of the Church of Impact if I am not supervised any longer.
I died laughing when we first saw that. There was a reason I immediately ran off to go and bully the AI into making a Gregorian-style hymn for the Church of Impact, which, incidentally, is in the auxiliary Discord in the General Shenanigans channel if you want to hear it.
Yeah, that happened.
That happened.
Just like,
it did.
just like Servitor Country Roads.
Yeah, we did make Servitor Country Roads for the flitter that was taking us across the Drift Market. And we also have Void Clap, which is Korean industrial music for going to war with orcs too in space.
Yes. Because we are the most reasonable of people.
Yes, we are very responsible, but very, very responsible with these very sensible stories that we tell.
Yes.
And this is all because you just dropped a Britney Spears reference. Like, yeah, old music is considered sacred. So, like, in 40k, Britney Spears is like a saint or something. And I was like, right! 40k K-pop. Industrial K-pop.
Well, yes, because look, as a historian, from the depth of history, we don't know if the hexametric stuff never got the treatment of this young people's metrics reading. The youth and their lyres and their songs, that they should really stick to the old tried and true music of Elden Years. They do not understand. And then you've got Vitellis, who gives us the wonderful phrase of "I drop my scroll here, lest you fools besmirch it with your indecent poetry." who's essentially invented the concept of drop mic, just with scrolls, because
Yeah, we don't have mics yet, but I sure as hell have a scroll about this.
yes, you guys will have a scroll. I think at least at one point he suggested that the parchment is better used to wipe your ass instead of being used for whatever words were legible on it.
Which just goes to show that throughout the entirety of human history, from the day humans first became humans, the human experience has not changed.
Not significantly.
The technology, the lens that we see it through, the exact specifics, yes, those are different every time, but the nature of what it is to be human is pretty universal.
The magnitude of kaboom.
I learnt this when I was 20 from anime. You know that old meme of, oh, everything important I needed to know I learned from anime? Literally, my favourite guiding life saying comes from anime. And everywhere you go, the sky is the sky, and people are people.
We've checked. We've
And
put
of
people in
all the
many
series that comes from, it doesn't come from, a high-minded philosophical series. It does not come from an anime series that is known for its absolutely stunning art, or, genre-breaking concepts, or for being, the great thing that brought the medium to the West, or anything like that. No, it's from Ninja Scroll. It is a line Jubei says in the Ninja Scroll series.
Hey, Ninja Scroll is excellent.
Yes, but it's not exactly going to win any awards other than being, oh, hey, that was kind of violent and more sexualized than perhaps it should have been.
But they had that dude with the bees on his back.
It did have the dude with the bees on his back, yes.
which gave rise to about half of the weird shit that you see in Exalted. Like, they literally had that specific mutation as a possibility in Exalted from first edition, and it got upgraded and become even weirder the longer the game persisted. It was
Fantastic.
like, what happens when the bees you mutated to hold in your body as part of your hive become a fully incorporated, complete fey infestation that has diplomatic ties to villages it wishes to colonize or trade with. It really became weird after a while. Like, yes, 5 women come to your village. They have a buzzing voice, and they come bearing honey jars in order to speak about trade relations with your people.
Oh my
They
god.
also demand
Ironically, Aiden has just posted something completely relevant to where this conversation started over in my server.
terrifying.
He has posted a whole series of things that we might say in the modern day, and how Dionysus would have said it back in the day. How should I pronounce that name correctly, Lictor? Because I've heard it many ways, and
What do you mean, who?
Dionysus?
Dionysus works
Okay, cool.
very well. Yeah.
Let me read some of these. I embarrass myself at a party. Dionysus. A party without humiliation is simply a meeting. People think I'm too much. Dionysus. I once turned a group of sailors into dolphins for kidnapping me. You simply cried too hard during a Hosier song. You're fine. Human nature does not change. I'm so angry I want revenge. Dionysus. Mortal revenge is messy. Divine revenge is elegant. Become hotter. Become happier. Recover so beautifully it haunts them.
Dionysus is the same dude that said, okay, let a bunch of lions eat your mom and girlfriend.
I mean,
Also,
I've seen what some girlfriends out there in the world are like. Lions might be a reasonable answer. Some boyfriends too.
The other thing was eat your mom and girlfriend in the shape of a lion, or vice versa, too. So, Dionysus had issues. Also, it bears the question of who exactly is Dionysus at any given point in time. It's a problem. Yes, Greek mythology, not a subject easily explained or explored. If anyone had ever tried to do any, my head hurts just thinking about it. Damn. You see, and then you're trying to space it out with the fact that the Romans stole half of it and did whatever they did with it. Now my brain hurts a little more. Let's do something else.
Okay, we will do something else. No guts, no galaxy. While we're rambling, Red Lictor, pick a movie, keep one actor as a human, replace the rest with Muppets. What's your Muppet movie? I think we've done this before, and of course the ultimate example of this is just the fact that Muppet Treasure Island exists, and it's just brilliant. Because the one human, the token important human in it, also thinks he's a Muppet, and it's great.
Personally, you'd have to let me watch movies.
Orcslayer says Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Sean Connery is the only human. That would work really well. And you've seen that one, Lictor.
That is true. I have seen that.
Still going with the Batman movie with Two-Face. The regular side is human. The scar side is a Muppet.
Am I supposed to be terrified or just weirded out?
I mean, if you've seen that movie, it seems complete. This seems reasonable. Okay. 7 Blue 7 has redeemed a water break. So what I will do, I will have some water. Thank you. Hydration is important. Hail, hydrate. And then how about we read what I have for chapter 14?
I think that would be an amazing thing to do.
We also have a posture check and a stretch. And an eye break.
I have checked my posture. I am indeed a shrimp. I,
Wilf says aliens. Only Ripley is human, including the xenomorphs. Muppet xenomorphs would be amazing.
they're available on the free market.
That does not surprise me.
The amount of things I need to do to surprise you in a given session usually requires a discussion with a friend of mine who's a tailor.
Oh, I have stretched and I regret everything because I am now reminded I have shoulders. I blame you, Orc Slayers.
Well, you should.
Oh.
Just
Alrighty.
remember,
Shall we
we're
move on
dying.
to chapter 14?
Yes.
Very good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over here on my desktop. So I can only stretch so much. It doesn't help my spine. So my problem I have is I'm double jointed. I have loose ligaments, effectively. So for my age, I am still remarkably flexible for a person who does not do the amount of exercise that I should do. But the older you get, loose ligaments are not a benefit as you get older. Ow. All right, chapter 14. Let's do some Shoal stuff. I will commence a reading.
I heard about it.
They went deeper. There was no real debate after the slate. The hidden first lab had already told them too much to justify retreating into caution and pretending the answers would somehow rise obligingly towards them. Sulean scientists, if Sulean they truly were, had worked down here in secret. They had studied local fauna, quiet resistance and juvenile siphon rays. They complained about being denied access to the deeper, more important work. And that meant the real heart of whatever had been done under Chorak still waited below, and I've apparently developed the hiccups. This is a problem. Magarel wanted more slates. Jake could feel the wrong song waiting for them. Jabra, for her own reasons, wanted to know what kind of people built a lab in a dead city and then vanished. So they moved, and I've realised I have missed something really important I should have put in here, and I blame being a little bit distracted and under tea-filled this morning. Insert section here, deciding to go deeper. A drone is sent back to Sivan's village to reassure her father they will return her tomorrow. Because that's supposed to be in here. We discussed it last time, and if it isn't here, it makes a later plot point not work. So I will remember to put that in later. All right, let's carry on reading what we do have. The next route down was broader than the path beneath the armoury and more orderly than the improvised shelter cut they had first entered. The corridor had once been intended for regular movement between sections of the Undercity, and that changed everything. Echo could fit here with care. Nick could follow her without having to crab sideways through every threshold. The walls still bore the old practical grammar of an emergency district. Guide ridges, traffic grooves, reinforced corners. But here and there, newer scars had been added. Drill marks, anchor sockets, abrasion from equipment dragged in long after Chorax's fall. The old preserved song moved with them, braided around the buried corridors like memory clinging to the bones of a city. It still made Jake's skin prickle under the impulse suit. It still felt wrong in the way only something cut off from time could feel wrong. But now that the Shoalie could hear it too, now that it was no longer his lonely burden, he found it easier to bear. Except when it dimmed. That was the new thing. Every time they passed a place where Magarel's sensors or the psyoptic specialist's widened shroud picked up a smear of quiet residue, the old song thinned around the edges. Not entirely, just enough to show the principle in action. The buried chorus softened under silence the same way the Upper City's scarred song did. Jake began tracking it almost unconsciously, comparing the wrong song in his head to the familiar one in the water around him, and noting where both dulled together. That fact sat in him like a stone as they entered the next lab. They knew it before Magarel named it. The first hidden chamber had been adapted from a shelter room, large enough to be useful but still recognisably borrowed. This place was not borrowed. This place had been transformed. The passage widened abruptly into an immense vaulted space, grown around old Undercity bedrock and then heavily modified by later hands. The room had once been 2 or 3 separate chambers, perhaps reserve stores and a shelter spine, but the intervening walls had been cut through, reinforced, and opened into one sprawling complex. Banks of equipment climbed in terraces along one side. Heavy diagnostic mounts sat in broad floor cradles where no ordinary fauna would ever have fit. Great suspension arms, long dead now, hung folded from ceiling rails like sleeping limbs. Thick tubing ran along walls and floors toward dead tanks and sealed pits. This was the main lab. Not field adaptation, not side work, not a scientist sulking about gutter predators in a converted shelter. This was where the important things had happened. Even Jabra, who had met every revelation so far with either suspicion or irritation, went still for a beat and let the scale of it hit. "Well," she said at last, "there's your answer about the bigger experiments." Talia drifted forward a few body lengths, all her colours dimmed to a line of concentration. "Leviathan handling," she breathed. "Or at least tissue handling on that scale. Look at those mounts." Umi was already angling towards one of them. At the centre of the chamber, bolted into a raised diagnostic cradle that had once been able to tilt, rotate, and possibly even restrain, lay the articulated skeleton of a siphon ray. Not a full Leviathan, no, but much larger than the 3 that had attacked them in the upper city. A sub-Leviathan still, but impressive enough that Jake could instantly imagine how much violence had once lived in the muscle and lamprey mouth now reduced to pale structure. The skull flared wide. The feeding ring had been pinned open with mineral braces. Ribs and anchor spines had been labelled once, though only fragments of those markings remained. Umi stopped there as if pulled. "Oh," he said softly. His shroud sharpened, not with fear but with old professional fascination. He lifted one hand towards the preserved frame without quite touching it, already reading structure, injury, modification, all the things someone with his background would know to seek. Magarel's drone skimmed the upper racks. "Split up," she said, "and catalogue everything. Quiet checks first where needed. No one assumes any of these systems are dead just because they look it." That produced immediate motion. Those least useful for identifying old scientific equipment were assigned to detection and purging. Jabra and her crew spread through the outer margins of the lab, checking corners, vents, and old sample bays for active blooms. The psyoptic specialist widened their shroud and began calling out weak spots in the chamber's residual song where silence gathered. Talia moved with one hand on a neutralizer pack, cross-checking each flagged site before the purge teams went in. Hodaka slid into coordination with Nick and took Magarel's directions for bloom clearance with crisp obedience. Jake ended up on quiet duty as well. He did not mind that. In truth, he preferred it. The bigger equipment all around the chamber made him uneasy in a way he could not yet name. Better, for now, to have a clear task. Find blooms, mark them, help Talia kill them before they ate more of the old song away. He took the back wall. The lab sloped subtly downwards in that direction, following the old shape of the undercity shelter it had replaced. Here, the floor became more crowded with dead lines and abandoned infrastructure. Drain channels, power conduits, old sample pipes that ran beneath the main experimental stations and into whatever systems deeper in the rock had once fed them. It was also where the song felt strangest. The preserved old Chorax chorus still filled the room, older and clearer here than it had been above. But along the back wall, near 2 dead storage pits and a line of canted observation housings, both songs thinned sharply. The ordinary background song and the wrong old one faded together until, for a few body lengths, Jake felt nearly nothing at all. No city chorus, no present harmony, only a blank. He stopped. "Talia," he said over the short link. "Back wall, I've got a dead patch." "Active?" she asked. "Not sure yet." He moved more slowly now, suit lights angled low. The blankness in the song reminded him too much of the mobile quiet colony from the watch shift. Too much the fracture in the upper tunnel and the way the old music vanished around it. If the wrong song dimmed in the same way the living song did, then whatever was suppressing one was suppressing both. That mattered. He kept close to the wall, trailing one suit hand through the loose top layer of silt while his lights searched for the telltale soft pale clustering of a bloom. The back stretch looked like wall. Until it didn't. His hand brushed along what he thought was a continuous stone line and struck a corner. Jake frowned and swept the light back over it. There, a jut. Angled, smooth under the silt in a way natural bedrock rarely was. He crouched lower and began brushing more deliberately, sending pale curtains of fine drift upward in slow bursts. The more he cleared, the less the wall looked like a wall at all. It had edges, flat sections, a curve, a seam. His pulse ticked up. "Talia," he called again, sharper. "I think there's something back here." She arrived quickly, pushing off from a half-cleared bloom site with the neutralizer pack already in hand. Her own lights joined his, and together they traced the emerging shape out from under the centuries of drift. It was large. Larger than a table or a storage bank. Something installed flush against the back of the chamber and then almost entirely buried by silt and time. At first, Jake thought it might be another line of sealed cabinets, or perhaps part of the lab's old water processing system. Then, his glove brushed away enough of the surface to reveal a smooth panel that was not stone at all. It was clear, or had once been. Now the substance was occluded by mineral skin, algae bloom, and long sheets of dead growth along its inner surface. But even through the murk, it caught the light in a way nothing else in the chamber did. "Glass," Jake said automatically, though he knew very well it couldn't be literal terrestrial glass. Talia tilted her head. "Transparent composite, probably." That was when Jake found the fracture. It lay low at one corner, where the large installation disappeared into the chamber floor. A crack, not wide but enough. Enough that a thin, dark flow moved in and out of it with the smallest current shift. Enough that, as he held his light close, he saw the soft, pale feathering at its edges. Quiet. Passing through the gap in a steady, thin stream. He backed away half a body length on pure reflex as the quiet reacted to his presence and moved towards him. "Oh no," he murmured. Tullia's colours darkened. "What?" Jake pointed. "There! Corner breach. I think this thing contains quiet." Her eyes went straight to it. She did not need the song to see the danger once he had marked it. The pale growth threaded the crack like mould in a wound. Jake brushed away more silt from the base and immediately regretted how much of the object that revealed. I'm actually going to make myself a note here because I have used my words poorly. Reword the above to sound more animal than plant, as quiet are animals. There we go. Jake brushed away more salt from the base and immediately regretted how much of the object that revealed. The transparent section curved up and away into the drift. This was not a cabinet. Not a wall unit, not anything modest. It was a tank, or a chamber. Something enormous and sealed, half buried in the back of the lab. His mind jumped at once to the old preserved song dimming here, to the fracture, and to the blankness in the water around the corner. If the quiet seeped from whatever this was, it might explain the dead patch. It might explain why the old chorus thinned here even inside its preserved undercity. "Magarel," he called across the chamber. "I think this might be where the main bloom is. It's leaking out of the fractured corner." That got everyone's attention at once. Magarel turned in Echo's pilot interface almost before he finished speaking. Her drones lifted from their current tasks and skimmed towards the back wall in converging arcs. Umi abandoned the siphon ray skeleton. Hodaka and Nick paused mid-purge on a bloom site near a dead sample pit, both of them orienting instantly on Jake's call. Within seconds, the whole team had shifted around the discovered structure. Talia crouched beside the crack, examining the bloom without letting her gloves touch the panel edge. "It would be much more sensible," she said, thinking aloud as she always did when problem-solving, "to insert a hose and flood the interior with neutralizer than to break it open and risk a full release." Jake looked at her. "Can you do that?" "Yes, if you stop sounding impressed." "I am impressed." She ignored him and began working the hose line free from the neutralizer pack. Magarel, meanwhile, had moved into a different kind of focus entirely. Her drones swept along the buried installation's outer edges, their beams raking silt away in thin, controlled passes. Echo herself could not reach this far into the back recess without crushing half the room, so the work fell to the drone suite and to Magarel's own eye for shape. She slipped out of her Titan with a stern warning to Sivan to stay put and swam over to the mysterious object. As the drift peeled back, the scale of the thing became clearer. Not a wall tank. not a storage cell. A massive containment unit, partially sunk into the old shelter floor and tied into a web of feeds that vanished beneath the chamber. It had a viewing section, now clouded almost opaque by growth on the inside, and a broader, reinforced body beyond. Control panels sat half-buried near one upper corner. Emergency release housings, monitoring ports, the lines of something built to hold not samples, but a whole, dangerous organism. Jake felt his mouth go dry. Behind him, Nick's shroud sharpened into the blade of attention. Even Umi, so often warm and measured, had gone very quiet. Talia threaded the hose. Jake knelt beside her, using the suit's stronger hands to clear the fracture edge just enough for the line to feed through without widening the break. The pale bloom recoiled in soft, ugly shivers where the tip disturbed it. He held the corner open by fractions while Talia worked the nozzle in. "Ready," she said. Jake looked up. "Do it." Neutralizer hissed into the dark interior. The line bucked once in Talia's hands as pressure equalised. Then it steadied, feeding the anti-quiet compound into whatever sealed volume still existed beyond the fractured panel. For a second, everyone relaxed just enough to hope this would be the elegant solution. Kill the bloom inside the tank, stabilise the crack, figure out the machine later. Magarel cleared the last of the upper silt away from the control panel. Her reaction was immediate. "No!" she snapped. "Stop! Stop now!" Jake jerked his head up. "What?" "This is a containment unit," Magarel said, louder now, all her clipped precision sharpened by alarm. "Leviathan class or near enough. Do not interact with—" She never finished. Because Jake, pulling back to give Talia more room to cover the fracture with the neutralizer line, braced instinctively with one arm against what he thought was buried housing stone. Instead, his gauntlet found a manual release switch hidden under the last slick skin of silt. The old control plate depressed with a sick, smooth certainty. Jake felt it happen before he understood it. Oh no. Talia swore and threw her own body sideways, one hand clamping the hose over the crack as if she could physically prevent the tank from exhaling disaster into the room. Hodaka recoiled hard enough to bump Nick's legs assembly. Jabra's crew snapped weapons up on reflex. Umi's shroud fled wide and ready. Every drone in the chamber reoriented at once. For one long, impossible moment, everyone expected catastrophe. Expected the tank to split. Expected the old preserved song to shatter into an active scream. Expected some hidden mass inside the chamber to slam itself against the clouded panel, or for quiet to flood out in a white, pale sheet. Or for all the old sealed systems beneath the room to wake at once. Nothing happened. Nothing. No rupture, no lurch, no Leviathan horror in the darkened interior. No flood of silence. No ancient machine shriek. Only the quiet hiss of neutralizer continuing into the fractured corner and the sharp collective breathing of everyone in the lab. Jake stayed frozen in exactly the same position he had landed in, one hand still half on the buried release plate and every muscle in his body waiting for the world to punish him properly. Beside him, Talia did not move either. Her eyes were locked on the crack, one gloved hand white tight around the hose line. Behind them, Magarel's voice came low and disbelieving. "Nothing?" Jabra let out a very careful breath. "Nothing," she said. The reassurance that passed through the room was immediate, instinctive and wrong. Jake felt it even while part of him clung to the fact that the chamber had not exploded. Talia's shoulders loosened by a degree. Hodaka's shroud lost its edge. One of Jabra's people lowered their weapons first. Then the others followed. Even Magarel's drones, after holding their hard frozen angles for several more seconds, eased back into a steadier hover. No disaster had come. Not immediately. At least, not yet. And that is where I have finished for now.
Dun dun dun.
All right, let's see what people are saying. Welcome back, Night Owl. Yes, foreshadowing. So, There's a twofold reason why I have written it this way. One is because at this point we're kind of playing with horror movie logic and dramatic moments, jump scares, the killer getting loose. They work better in horror movies when you sort of have that false tension and then it goes away and then the problem happens. This is a very long-standing tradition in horror. It's kind of it's a beat that we expect, and yes, everyone went still and quiet. Then someone farted. That's sort of undermining. Horror and comedy almost sort of work the same way, where, pacing and timing and subverting expectation is what delivers what you're trying to do. But there is also a second internal consistency logic. I want our characters to have time to be like, oh, okay, nothing happened. We know there's a quiet bloom in here. We know these people were studying the quiet. Maybe this just contained an enormous, quiet sample, and we're now dealing with it and everything is fine. We don't need to worry. Of course, what we know as the people who came up with this plot is that the quiet was being introduced into this tank to prevent the genetically modified underwater supercavitating Valstrax babies from waking up. They're not going to wake up and hatch from their eggs the moment that the manual release clamp is released. The quiet that's keeping them dormant needs a chance to die first. So what I'm planning on doing is having in the next section the characters being like, okay, we think they were just studying quiet. What did that manual release? Let's go up and have a look over the top. And I'm thinking the psyoptics technician is the guy that's going to go up first. And he's going to start reporting back what he saw, and that, yes, the quiet is dying. As the sort of mass of bodies is dissolving and falling away, he can see something underneath them. And then one of the eggs hatches, and he's the first death. One of the hatching babies just erupts out of it, grabs him, and then we're into the action scene of, okay, the false tension has now been, relief has now been broken. We're back to the tension again, and that's what I'm planning on doing. Though I am very willing to hear what chat has to say about that.
Yes, chat.
I will also hydrate for a minute because reading, it dries the voice out. Oh.
Also, Squeak wishes to track organs.
I'm sure there will be no problems. I read that as track down organs, and I was totally in, but then I read it again, and I'm significantly less excited. We can track down organs, Squick. 40k tomorrow is going to be a good time. Okay, Erica says, good plan. Okay, well, hopefully this will go well, and, the disaster is imminent, as stated in the stream title.
And the competent people die first. Except for Jabra.
Yes, Jabra is both very competent and intended to survive, so that we can write about her again later.
Yes.
So yeah, it's going to be exciting the next couple of chapters that we do.
Correct.
Yeah. I hope people are still having fun with the story. I certainly am. And there are 47 people here, which I vastly appreciate. So yeah, we are sort of getting to our peak dramatic point of the story, and then it will all be in the, oh God, how do we solve all this? And let me have a look, because our story is already, we know we're going to have some major editing to do once the rough is all done, because there's just too much in here.
Almost like we've been doing lots of world building while we were doing that.
Yeah, we're at 92,737 words, but we know we've got elements in here that sort of double over certain bits. There'll be stuff that can be shortened down. We've got repeated points made, and that can just be narrowed and reduced. And I think for some of it as well, now that we've got better ideas, now that we're further through, some of the earlier over-explanation can be dropped or summarised better and clearer, and that will be very fun as well. As the first book in a rather complex and very complete setting, that we've got a big sort of idea of it, The first book being overly long and needing a very heavy editing process is pretty common. The more you write in an individual setting or about the same character over and over, it tends to get easier with later books. But this is fine. This is fine. And I'm sure we will learn a lot about editing and discuss it when we get there.
Yes.
I don't like editing. Editing requires the big brain, and it's a very rewarding process. Yeah, I will be very happy to try and teach.
I will be learning things.
The thing with editing is it requires you to be tracking multiple things at once. So you kind of have to put your brain into like multi-threading mode, and it can be very tiring as a result. When I'm just, in the zone and I'm writing 15 to 20k in a day is something I can do if I'm really clear on what I'm doing and I'm just writing and I'm getting something out there. I can write cool stuff, and I can write a lot quite quickly. Can't do that with editing. In the same amount of time, in a whole day, I might edit a chapter or two in a couple of hours, and then I need to go and have a rest because my brain, and I get so hungry editing as well because using big brain, consuming all of the sugars, and body is like, we need chocolate, and we need chocolate now because we are miserable, and when we need sugars, and we need a rest. So there is your first editing tip. This is your first lesson, chat, in good editor practice. Have snacks on hand. If you're settling in for a long editing session, snacks. Cheese and Brussels sprouts. I mean, if that's your thing, that is your thing. My thing is chocolate, which is ridiculous because I'm slightly allergic to chocolate. It makes me sneeze. So for me, editing is also synonymous with sneezing quite a bit.
You're trying to train your body to be allergic to editing?
Not on purpose. Yes, chocolate makes me sneeze. This was something that we figured out when I was like 12 years old, and it continues to be a thing to this day. I adore chocolate. Makes me sneeze. I mean, I'm not sure if you've noticed, chat, but I'm kind of a strange individual in many, many ways. Alright, that is unfortunately all I have written down to read to you guys this week, unless we decide to be absolutely ridiculous and read one of my other projects. That's, that's always an option. But I did want to talk about a thing at some point as well. So.
Yes, you did. I'm going to grab a glass of water.
Yeah, you grab a glass of water, and yeah, I will sit with chat for a few minutes. Thank you, Night Owl. I mean, this is just true. It's just true. I'd also love to know, chat, if any of you are working on any other writing projects at the minute, because, of course, my greatest hope with starting the Shoal stream and continuing to do it and etc., is that it inspires and helps others to write things, because we had a brief discussion about AI earlier, and the world has always needed human creativity. I believe that creativity is one of the biggest ways that allows our species to understand itself and connect properly, etc. And it's very, very, very cool. And, in the modern day where we are all so busy with so many things going on, and now there is the ability for machines to just churn things out. I think, now, not necessarily more than ever, but as much as ever, people writing down their creative thoughts and getting those creative, connective things out into the world, I think is very, very important. Sometimes it's just important to write down your creative ideas just for yourself. It doesn't have to be for other people. So I do hope my love of writing and the written word spreads out into the world. Doctor Who says, Erica is doing work on the Blood on the Lens write-up and is pulling me into actually finishing the characters. Excellent. Excellent. I'm very much hoping to be in a position in October when we can share not just, where we've gotten to with Blood on the Lens and the initial playthrough that we will do, but, maybe do some playthroughs with the community, because I think that would be very, very fun. And Blood on the Lens is a great setting. For anybody who is not aware of what that is, we have talked about Blood on the Lens on this stream before. There is an episode where Doctor Who kindly joined us, and we had Mike from one of the creators was on stream to talk about it. Very, very cool, fun couple of sessions, horror, TTRPG. Pretty cool. Well, what about Blood on the Lens at TMX? Potentially could be doable. We'll need to have a chat about where things are at and time frames, etc. But Erica says, shout out to Ed for giving me the last weapon item idea for Tide, a sharp metal straw. Ooh, interesting. Wolf says, as I've said before, it's the soul-defining characteristic of humanity. It's the one thing we do that no other species does. We tell stories. Yes, and the stories are just so fun and important, and I really, really do love stories. And the wonderful thing about stories is, for all there's like, you know, sort of the 7 great plots that nearly every single book and story and tale will fit into, the reason why there are nevertheless billions of stories and movies and video games and etc. is because those archetype plots will be filtered through the lens of an individual and their unique life experiences to give you something that is just completely unique every time. And that means that every single human being has the ability to think out the shape of a story in a way that no other individual on the planet could ever do. So everybody's creativity has value. Doctor Who says, my major painting project is done, mostly finished, so creative juice is getting redirected. Fantastic. What is TMX? When is it? And if you want to, I could showcase a session or two. Yeah, I think you two should absolutely get together in DMs to talk about timeframes and what you think is practicable. And it would be cool. Doing Shoal things elsewhere and exposing the greater normal world to the nonsense we do over here would be fabulous. Erica says, currently painting grey stone floors. Question, better with Agrax Earthshade, brown wash, or non-oil, black wash? Some of them are aged cryptstone and others are exterior stones. I would say that for the interior, brown wash will probably be better, and for the exterior, black wash would be better. Interior, where you don't have the sun, etc., that sort of brown and green, etc., tends to be a thing. Whereas outside, where you've got... Yeah, you'll probably want to mix maybe some of the black and the brown on the outside, but sidewalks, when they get particularly grody, the coloration does tend to turn to black over time from being under the sun. But
I believe
try
sun
both,
exists.
see what looks good. As Parallax tells us, you can't ruin things with paint, because you can always take it off again. Alrighty. Welcome back, Lictor.
Hello. So, what was a thing you wanted?
Yeah, so I've just been thinking about sort of writing in general over the course of this week and some cool things that are out there. And there are various things that impress me, especially when people pull them off well. For example, at some point, we're going to have a talk about Castlevania Lords of Shadows. Because what they did narratively with that series, I think is just fascinating, and I personally absolutely adore the narrative arc that Gabriel Belmont has. Are the games brilliant? No. Especially Lords of Shadow 2 was not nearly as good as it should have been for reasons that had nothing to do with the narrative and everything to do with studio politics, etc., etc. But from a pure narrative standpoint, as well as an aesthetic standpoint, but that is me talking from the other side of my creative brain, the artist, Lords of Shadow absolutely fascinates me, and I adore what they did story-wise with the Lords of Shadow series. So at some point we'll have to talk about that, because they did something really particularly unique, and I'm going to spoil what the big thing is in Lords of Shadow. If you do not want to know why Lords of Shadow is just such a cool thing, and you want to wait for the main rant on it, or you want to play it yourself or whatever, we don't talk about the anime. It had one good season, and it's a shame they never made any more. The first season was really good. What a shame it got cancelled then. Anyway, Lords of Shadow, if you don't want to know the spoiler, stop listening now. I'm giving you plenty of opportunity to not know if you're not aware of this thing and want to become aware of it in a different way. But, Lords of Shadow. Gabriel Belmont is the main character that you start with and is obviously of the Belmont line of vampire hunters. The narrative arc he goes through is how he goes from Paladin of the Order of Light to literally being motherfucking Dracula. He is Dracula. Dracula is a Belmont. And then the conclusion of it, where Dracula has to be defeated by a Belmont, the way that the series finishes, I really, really like. It is a very interesting take on, we want to make a different Castlevania game, and we're not only going to play with different mechanic styles, but we're going to do something really unique and interesting with the narrative and what the stakes are and the weight. And the revelation at the end of 1, where you've played all the way through and dealt with the problem, and then you get the cutscene after the credits, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. So that's a thing that impressed me, because taking such a beloved series that has just such a formula where the Belmonts fight Dracula and then going, yeah, but what if Dracula was a Belmont? I thought was a really interesting narrative choice. So that was a thing that impressed me. Another thing I've spoken about on this stream before that impressed me is Mortal Kombat 11. And I have always postulated that NetherRealm, if left to their own devices and are able to just coast, they do nothing interesting. But the moment that they had backed into a corner, I don't know who it is at NetherRealm Studios that they have, but once Mortal Kombat has backed itself into a corner where the ridiculous plots that they've been running have run out of places to go, they've run out of the ability to just keep recoloring ninjas and doing different things, and that they're literally at their wits' end, there has to be a guy that they just stick in a cupboard and are like, look, you are staying in here until you find some creativity and write something really compelling so we can get out of this hole we've dug ourselves into. And whoever that person is a genius. Because the plot line for Mortal Kombat 11, with the time shenanigans that was going on in that and how they reset things and reinterpreted things, was really, really clever. And I love that the DLC allowed you to play as, basically bring in one of the bad guys and have him win. And of course they brought in one of the best just villains, period. Shang Tsung is a Saturday morning cartoon villain, and I love him for it. He is unapologetic, and he's just a bad guy, and he's such a smug, manipulative shit, and I adore him. And his DLC in 11 was amazing. And I thought that was great. I was really impressed that they dug themselves into a hole, and then they not only dug themselves out, but they built themselves a really clever narrative mountain. I was impressed with that. Mortal Kombat 1 has come out since then, and it's only been very, very, very recently that I've actually gotten to see what the storyline of that is, because when it originally came out, we were just too busy with other things. So Aiden's been playing through Mortal Kombat 1 story mode, and I had said after 11 that what I hoped would happen was that they would take, because you have several endings with Mortal Kombat 11. In one of them, Liu Kang wins, and he and Kitana gain control of the Hourglass of Time and get to restart time and build it in their own image. In another one, it's Liu Kang and Raiden trying to sort things out. In another one, with the DLC, Shang Tsung wins. The bad guy wins, takes control of the Hourglass of Time, and basically brings in an era of just pure evil and nonsense with him sitting at the top of the pyramid. And I said, from the moment I saw the ending of that game, I really hoped they went with the bad ending because it would force them to have to get clever with their writing. Mortal Kombat 1 came out. I've recently seen, we haven't finished it yet, so I haven't seen all the way to the end. We're just at the start of Act 3, but Mortal Kombat 1 came out, and clearly we are in the timeline where Liu Kang has won. And I was like, that's a shame, but we'll see how this goes, and maybe they'll do something interesting with it. And to give them their credit, they have done something interesting with it. I like the changes they've made with the characters. I wasn't too sure how I was going to feel about taking the Tarkatan race and making Tarkatans now just diseased people with the Tarkat disease, but I actually like how they handled it. I like how they've handled Shang Tsung and how he's been introduced, etc. Then we got to the point that just made me ecstatically happy. Because the Netherrealm team clearly locked their dude in a cupboard again and possibly gave him some drugs and told him he wasn't coming out until he built an even bigger mountain than the last one. Mortal Kombat 1, every ending of Mortal Kombat 11 is canon. There is a part of the story that takes into account Shang Tsung winning. And it's clever. The reveal is really well done. The way it raises the stakes and brings in different things, which with Mortal Kombat you wouldn't think they have anywhere for these stakes to go anymore. We're already messing with time. But no, they did something clever with it. And my heart was just full that somebody had really put some thought into what they were doing. With Mortal Kombat, of all things. The stupid game that's overly violent with lots of blood and has multicolored ninjas punching each other. This made me so happy. So they have made it so that all of the endings are canon. We've got multiple Shang Tsungs running around at this point, who I just love. I love the way they've interpreted different characters. I also adore Madame Bo from the beginning of it. Lictor, if you have not played Mortal Kombat 1, you will love Madame Bo as well. She is the old lady who runs the food shop in town and is an absolute badass. And I love her. She's fantastic. She's this little old lady with all of the kung fu. So that's another thing I've been really impressed by is, we've got, this is but two clever things going on in video games that I've mentioned here because, the video games are a narrative medium I enjoy very much. There are a few things that are more satisfying than when something that's silly and fun is also subtly well written. Yes, and Mortal Kombat 1 has really struck me as being surprisingly well written. And the moment where we realise that, Shang Tsung's ending is also canon, the happiness, immense happiness. It really genuinely made me feel good. But, that's some clever things going on in video game mediums and narratives. I'd like to talk, though, about a completely different, really clever thing in narrative that is just wonderful. And that is Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which is a completely unique piece of media that I don't think I've seen anything else do in quite the same way. And I don't know why it's been on my mind this week, but it has. So, ladies and gentlemen of chat, my wonderful colleague Lictor and everybody else who's here, are you familiar with shows like Diagnosis Murder, Murder, She Wrote, all of those sort of older drama TV series that were sort of, your hospital dramas, your murder series dramas where you have this single investigator, that sort of era of television? I presume most of you are. We're talking about things like Knight Rider and these sort of serial dramas that were coming out with these kind of like a main character that you'd follow who maybe had a couple of characters that were supporting them and had a different adventure each week, whether it was a different murderer each week or a different problem that needed to be solved each week. I presume, of course, the majority of you are familiar with this kind of TV.
I mean, I know Power Rangers. They had a Monster of the Week.
Okay, but instead of something that's aimed at that younger audience, something that's aimed at an adult audience. That doesn't make it better, but, on that sort of like problem of the week drama that you're following, but not a soap opera.
I'm monkey. I am illiterate. I had not had TV in...
Like Columbo, yes. Stuff like Columbo. Yeah, I'm sort of
What's Columbo?
It is a TV series about an investigator he's very disarming. And like his thing is that, he'll go in and ask, he's usually investigating various problems, murders, etc. But his thing is he'll go in and he'll ask what seem like very benign and unrelated questions. And then, when he goes to leave, he'll go, one more thing. And then he'll ask another question and it sort of, breaks open the case or whatever. They're very enjoyable. Very, very enjoyable. Columbo's very, very popular.
I just keep hearing about it and I'm like, okay, but yeah.
Columbo is reverse CSI. Yes! But yeah, so we're talking about that era of television, and with that, and again with the
intelligence,
with the aesthetic of that sort of like 80s aesthetic of what TV looked like and what people dress like. So, what is Garth Marenghi's Dark Place?
The A-Team.
A-Team is another great example. Yes.
I like the 80s.
Yeah.
A massive black van that I keep thinking about whenever I see one in the street.
Yeah. So that era of television is what allows Garth Marenghi's Dark Place to exist, and it's very clever because the conceit of the show is multi-leveled. What it's presenting itself as is that there's this dude called Garth Marenghi, who is this over-the-top Imagineer and Dreamweaver, who wrote this amazing series for television called Dark Place, which is a hospital drama, and it was just too radical and too good for TV, and it was never released. But now here you have the DVD in your hand, where it's been brought straight to DVD, straight to you from the mind of the great Imagineer, and then you've got all of the episodes that you can go through and watch of this doctor and his immediate support team, which includes a nurse who's got psychic powers, and then he's got like the junior doctor who's the sarcastic ladies man, etc. And you've got all these different ridiculous adventures going on. And the conceit is that, you know, this guy has released the series to DVD. It was never shown on TV, and now it's in your hands. But of course, that's just one layer. The top layer is that Garth Marenghi is himself a personality, and the entire thing is a send-up of that era of TV. So what's going on in the actual episodes is very over-the-top and ridiculous and takes the piss out of what was going on in like hospital dramas of the day, including with the way that the characters dress, how cheap the sets are, how stupid the stuff is that happens. The opening sequence, the hospital is clearly like a miniature model that they've just zoomed in on with a camera, and that's like the dry level of the joke. This is very ridiculous, and Garth Marenghi himself is a character who's written by an actual writer. But what they also did was they released like the director's commentary with it, and then snips and interviews as you're watching the episodes of the actors for the characters playing that. And of course, that itself is a role. So you're like 3 layers deep. You've got the actual show, which never really existed. You've got the commentary on the show that never really existed. And then you've got the commentary on the commentary with the show. And then you've got the actual people. And it's that level of sort of very dry humour where it's on you, the viewer, to understand what's going on. And once you realise, you know, what Dark Place really is, it is hysterical. It's not the kind of thing that's going to make you laugh out loud, but once you've seen it, it just sticks with you. It's hyper meta, yes. And the introduction, the character of Garth Marenghi as the writer is just so over the top and a send up of pompous writers. And there's these moments at like the beginning of every episode where he's introducing what the episode is and, you know, the creative place he was in when he was making it, where he'll read snippets of his own work. And it's just so over the top. It would be like me, introducing these streams with, yes, welcome to this very serious Shoal stream. Let me read you just a snip from Hungry for the Wolf, our version of Hungry Like the Wolf. And just reading that and then going very seriously into talking about Shoal. It's dry. It is one of the driest things, humour-wise, that you can find. And it's genius. It is so clever. And trying to think on that multiple levels at once is a skill set that I'm just so impressed by. The guys who wrote this and came up with all the little things that would be in it, the different levels that they're in, and then constructed the DVD set to be the way that it is. It's amazing. It is so clever, and I don't think I'm clever enough to write something like that, especially as when you look at it, if you look at it without understanding, it just seems so bland and stupid and boring. But once you understand what you're actually watching, it's so clever. It takes a lot of intelligence to look that dumb. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And at some point, Lictor, I would like to make you watch this because I think you will have fun.
You will have me analyzing it the same way I do with Kill la Kill.
Excellent, and it will give you a lot more to analyse because you're not just looking for, plot, etc., and visual things that have been put in, but it's got those extra levels.
Okay, I will chew on the Shoal lasagna. It has layers, like ogres and onions.
It does. It does.
It's a lasagna of a show.
So yeah, I've just had that in mind recently, that there are a whole host of really clever narrative things out there that really impress me in all sorts of mediums, because Dark Place was released as a TV show. There are books that do clever things. There are video games that do clever things. And I kind of love the human ability to write nonsense. Doctor Who, I still need to finish Hello. You have a lot of Hello to see. There's like 9 seasons of it. And what I love about Hello is that from the first season, you get the introduction of the painting of the Madonna with the big boobies by Van Klomp. That painting continues to be relevant through the entire series, and when you get to the final episode, everything is wrapped up, including what happens to the painting. After 9 series of this nonsense, it's very, very good. I don't think you will have a good time. Rail says, this reminds me of a YouTube video series where they're all old instructional videos that slowly reveal a horror world over time. Yeah, that's a slightly different thing, and stuff that's done in that style, if it's done well and is well planned out, is very, very good. ARGs and the like. Unfortunately, there was a bit of a period where ARGs were just like the in vogue thing, and there's a lot of trash ones out there. But when you find a good one, it can be very, very fun. And I think that goes towards just the human desire to see patterns and solve mysteries and, you know, wrap up problems. So it can be very, very fun for that. So yeah, that's sort of where my brain has been lately, is in clever ways of doing things and revealing stuff. Aiden has a very important update for us. There are 7 beagles at the park. 7 beagles. 3 of them will be ours. The other 4, what would a BPL ARG be like? I don't know, but it would feature Wide Tom somewhere, and I'd be very concerned. This would have to be something where we make, like, Desgra. Instead of Jackass, we have Desgra. We'd make that and just hide stuff in it. That is a lot of beagles, yes. If they're really lucky, Samson the Bloodhound will turn up as well, and he has got an even bigger bark than Pip and Anka do. And for some reason, Anka still has the biggest bark out of R3, which is just ridiculous. I do not know how she contains such volume. Update on beagles from the puppy farm in Wisconsin. They've all been picked up by a rescue in Florida and associates. That is fantastic. That is absolutely brilliant. We do like to have beagles being well looked after, because they are just such wonderful dogs. Even when they're naughty, they are wonderful dogs. And Anka, I'm going to have to get some glamour shots of her at some point, because she's fully grown now, but she still retains some of her puppy features. So she is just at once the cutest thing and the most elegant thing. And when she's sitting nicely and isn't causing mischief, she just looks like the picture perfect beagle. And then she'll do something and just completely wreck any illusion of her as a stately lady in like 2 seconds flat. But oh my goodness, I love our dogs so much. We made you fall in love with beagles. I'm not apologizing for that. That is a good thing.
Never apologize. The beagling must continue.
Yes. All right, well, I
think yes.
I think that's all I've got for you guys this week. BB has said that she will be here at usual time with Tex. Oh, hang on. Let me catch up. Okay, BB will not be streaming with us tonight. She has a very nasty headache and is sensibly going to go and have a lay down. So hopefully she will feel better. So yeah, BB's slot will be open. Whether somebody will pick it up or not, I'm not too sure. But that means that if nothing else, I believe it's Bulk and the Farm Crew later on this evening.
Excellent.
Get well soon, BB. Tell BB to feel better. I will do these things. If you have well wishes for BB, post them now and I will screenshot and drop them over there so she can see. But yes, BB has been insanely busy lately, and she deserves to have her rest time. I think that is important.
That is true.
Yep, and then... Yeah, we'll get out of here. We'll let you guys have a nice afternoon. I will be back on Sunday for WBPLW. And in exciting news, Storm Song is arriving this evening to come and spend a couple of days with us. So God only knows what will happen as a result of that.
Honsing.
Yes, there will be a Honsoning.
We do not require God to supervise this particular set of seal-related forecasting. We know what's going to happen. Okay, there's going to be headbanging, which is going to be cool. There's going to be haunting, which will be adorable. And there's going to be a lot of music involved, which is going to be laudable.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what that is. We're going to get out of here. Any final words for chat this week, Lictor?
Keep safe, be well, and don't do anything I wouldn't do with an 86 pound warhead.
Ah, yes, we all have those just hanging out in our back garden.
I mean, in certain parts of France, they do still persist. But I do not judge. Well, I do judge, but let's leave it at that. And do not, do not the 86-pound warhead in the backyard. Do not.
There you go,
Call
chat.
someone
Do
proficient.
not the warhead in the backyard. And with that, we are leaving. Good night!